On December the 27th in 2021 in Denver, Colorado, a man dressed in tactical gear stormed a local tattoo shop and opened fire. Within minutes, the city was in chaos.
The violence unfolding across 7 different crime scenes, ending in a busy shopping area where the suspect was killed in an exchange of gunfire with police.
And the shooter? He wrote about every detail years before it even happened. His books named the victims. His online rants warned about what was coming, and still, no one stopped him. This is the story of Lyndon Mcleod, a failed businessman turned extremist whose violent fantasies became horrifying reality. Welcome to Grim Riddle's Crime Stories. Viewer discretion is advised. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share, and even consider subscribing. Let's get into it. Our story today is set in Denver, Colorado. Denver is a major art hub in the Rocky Mountain region, with numerous galleries, street art, and cultural institutions. Denver also has a thriving culinary scene with a focus on craft beer and innovative restaurants. Denver is an outdoor adventure destination with access to the Rocky Mountains and popular attractions like Red Rocks Park and the amphitheater. Lyndon Mcleod was born on January 7, 1974. As an army brat, he moved frequently due to his father's military career, relocating across the United States and even overseas. The constant moving left him feeling rootless, always starting over and struggling to fit in. In his mid-20s, he joined Zendik Farm, an alternative commune that rejected mainstream values. Their slogan was "Quit bitching and start a revolution." By the late 90s, he was known for his love of rock music, the outdoors and motorcycles. That love of bikes led to a serious crash that left him hospitalized for weeks. He developed an opioid addiction from the painkillers, which, along with alcohol, would haunt him for the rest of his life. Lyndon Mcleod moved to Denver in 2004 and found success in the medicinal cannabis industry, but in 2013 he was fired from a managerial job after threatening co-workers with a gun. Around that time, he met Jeremy Costello, a well-known tattoo artist. Lyndon loved tattoos and had many. During a session, they talked about starting a tattoo business themselves. Despite having no experience, Lyndon invested all his money to partner with Jeremy. But it didn't last. Former staff described him as controlling, aggressive, and sexist. He bullied employees, especially women, and created a toxic work environment. Most of the staff quit, and by 2015, the shop had closed due to financial mismanagement, and his friendship with Jeremy ended soon after.
I had a very successful business. I was an entrepreneur from about the age of 33. I was ruined financially. I went from making maybe 25, 30 grand a month in cash to zero, all in an instant. And so I had to sell all my assets, including my home. I mean, I was really in a bad spot. My friends just burned me. My girl just burned me. Like, my own family burned me. I mean, the details are Byzantine. They're really, really shocking. And it shocked me. And so I went to a very dark place. And I had all kinds of ideas of what I was going to do in order to make this right.
After the business failed, Mcleod isolated himself in a shipping container home in the mountains. Alone, his behavior worsened. He spoke more openly about his hatred for women and his belief in male superiority. It was during this period that he started writing. He self-published a 4,000-page sci-fi trilogy titled Sanction under the pen name Roman McClay. They weren't just fiction, they were a warning. Sanction mixed sci-fi with lengthy diatribes on gender, violence and society, portraying a world where Sigma males overthrow corrupt systems. His Sanction novel served as a manifesto and a fantasy outlet, blending real grievances with fictionalized revenge. The protagonist, named Lyndon Mcleod, kills 46 people, including real individuals at real locations. The books glorify these acts as justice, reflecting Mcleod's belief in retributive violence. His social media activity, on Twitter and Instagram under pseudonyms like Roman, McClay and James III, included interactions with manosphere figures and promoting their ideas.
That's how I live now.
Yeah.
I live on
It's validation.
It's validation.
Deep validation.
Yes, because I was alone in the wilderness for years, abandoned by my tribe, usurped, betrayed,
Yep.
overthrown, like
In a literal sense.
literally,
In a literal
like
sense.
no joke, like really by my tribe. And now I have a new tribe, and they're loyal to me,
Yeah.
you know, and I haven't tested the limits of that loyalty, but for where we're at now, they have shown supreme loyalty to me.
He followed accounts advocating traditionalism, anti-feminism, and male supremacy. He described his mountain lifestyle, living in a tent, later a shipping container house, as proof of his rugged individualism. The course of McLeod's trajectory mirrors others radicalized by the manosphere, where personal insecurities are channeled into violent ideologies. On a podcast in 2020, he described himself as, "My personality is so extreme that I'm like the oily rags in a garage next to a flame source. I'm just asking for it, you know. I'm either a beast or a philosopher. I don't live alike in the normal human world."
Greetings. We are set up for stories. Human beings need violence. I think that's the benefit for the bystander of releasing tension in a normal, fluid, linear way, is that you don't end up with a mass murder. You know, you don't end up with a, what do they call, mass shootings.
Thoughts, I have opinions, I have ideas, I have instincts that I think are wrong. But I have them. They're mine. They're real.
Yeah.
And I won't pretend I don't have them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm proud of them. I don't know if a person has to deny what they are or embrace it fully. I had to admit, this is who I am, and it's ugly.
Then on December the 27th, 2021, McLeod finally acted on his fantasies. At 5:25, Lyndon Mcleod entered the Soul Tribe Tattoo and Piercing on Broadway, a beloved space in Denver's tattoo community. He opened fire, targeting 3 former colleagues. Alicia Cardenas, the 44-year-old shop owner, and Alyssa Gunn Maldonado, a 35-year-old assistant manager, were killed instantly. Alyssa's husband, 44-year-old piercer Jimmy Maldonado, was shot in the neck and shoulder, but he survived. McLeod's ties to Soul Tribe were personal. He had once co-owned a shop where Cardenas worked. After his business collapsed, she took over the space and later moved to Broadway. Chillingly, in Sanction 2, McLeod's second novel, he described a character named Lyndon murdering Alicia Cardenas at Soul Tribe. Fiction had turned into reality. Later on in the day, at around 5:30 p.m., Denver police were notified of a home intrusion a couple blocks away from Soul Tribe Tattoo. McLeod, posing as a delivery man, tried to enter the apartment of tattoo artist Jeremy Costello. However, Costello's girlfriend had gotten suspicious and said Costello didn't live there. McLeod came back after a few minutes and started hitting the door with a sledgehammer to force his way in. He then fired shots through the door and walls as Costello and his girlfriend escaped with their child. McLeod managed to enter the apartment only after Costello and his family had fled. He shot up their belongings and set the van on fire before leaving the premises.
Mail carrier. He said, "I have a package for Jeremy Costello."
And he kept asking, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And she said, "Yeah." So we moved into this other room in between the 2 rooms of my shop, and he fired 6 shots through the door at us. I was pretty much his #1 target. I guess he wanted me to read it to see that in the book, a character was going to, that was his own name, Lyndon Mcleod, was going to kill me and then behead her.
I mean, everybody that was involved in this is a victim, and we survived it, and I honestly have to thank Jeremy for that, and of course, the Lord.
At 5:44 p.m., McLeod, now wearing tactical gear with a fake police badge, arrived at 1 Cheeseman Place, a high-rise at 1201 Williams Street. He gained entry and shot 67-year-old Michael Swinyard, a building contractor and suspected former business associate. Again, the killer mirrored his novel, the same victim, same address, and the same method. A security guard had escaped to call 911 and narrowly avoided the fate of a fictional doorman McLeod had once written about.
And he was ambushed in his condo that's overlooking Cheeseman Park, and it happened just as the shooter once wrote it would in his self-published book. It said the shooter was dressed as a police officer. The security guard cooperated with his demands and escorted him to a specific floor. And that's where the shooter then forced himself into a unit and shot and killed 67-year-old Michael Swinyard. He then forced his way out of the locked lobby where 3 bullet holes are now marked on the shattered window.
Minutes later, at 5:50 p.m., McLeod exchanged gunfire with a Denver police officer at 8th and Zuni. He disabled the officer's cruiser and fled towards Lakewood. At 5:58 p.m., McLeod arrived at Lucky 13-2 on Kipling Street. He emptied a full magazine, killing 38-year-old Danny Schofield, a father of 3 and a respected artist likely known to McLeod through the tattoo industry.
This video from a nearby business shows an apparent grim mission. A man leaving his van parked haphazardly outside Lucky 13 Tattoo at Colfax and Kipling, then walking in with what appears to be a weapon, then appearing calm as he walks out only seconds later.
At 6 p.m., he entered the Hyatt House Hotel in Lakewood's Belmar district. After a short exchange, he shot 28-year-old front desk clerk Sarah Steck, who was covering for a sick co-worker. Sarah died the next day. Unlike the other victims, Sarah had no personal link to McLeod. Police believe she was collateral damage at the wrong place at the wrong time. At 6:01 p.m., Lakewood police agent Ashley Ferris spotted McLeod at South Vance in West Alaska. She ordered him to drop his weapon. Instead, he shot her in the abdomen. From the ground, Ferris fired back, fatally wounding McLeod and ending the rampage. The Lakewood police awarded her the Purple Heart and Medal of Distinguished Service. In June, she was named Officer of the Month by the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. McLeod's shooting spree left 5 people dead. 2 others, Jimmy Maldonado and Officer Ashley Ferris, were injured but survived. The communities around Soul Tribe Tattoo and the Hyatt House were devastated, and memorials grew at both locations. But the killings raised serious questions.
I'd like to know why somebody who had documented writings and cited specific properties and specific people in the city, that we were not made aware of that.
McLeod's books and social media were filled with red flags. A German citizen had even warned Denver police in early 2021, citing the clear signs of potential violence.
About it and learned about it, the more I realized, no, this guy is going to kill.
Andre Thiele says he first met Lyndon Mcleod online in 2018. A former publisher who lives in Germany, Andre says he was intrigued at first by Sanction, McLeod's trilogy of dystopian, violence-filled fiction, in which he named 2 people he allegedly murdered last week, Alicia Cardenas and Michael Swinyard, and 1 person he attacked, his former business partner Jeremy Costello, and described the crimes in great detail. Andre says he eventually saw the books and some of McLeod's online postings as signs that McLeod was actually capable of serious violence. So in January of last year, he sent Denver police an 8-page email warning them of just that.
It was obvious that I needed to contact Denver PD.
I cannot in good conscience say that he will act with certainty, Andre wrote, but I can say that if he should act, the result would be devastating. Denver Police Detective Todd Ondrak emailed Andre right back, letting Andre know that he would contact him with any questions. Andre says that was the last he ever heard from DPD.
Nobody was taking seriously what this guy was doing.
In a statement, Denver police said DPD is reviewing the investigation, but based on our initial review, there was not sufficient evidence to file criminal charges or a legal basis for monitoring McLeod at the time.
So why wasn't more done? His case revealed the challenges of stopping lone wolf attackers and the dangers of online radicalisation. People knew their former roommate. All I wanted was for a wellness officer to take him to a hospital. They dismissed us. Psychologically, McLeod fit the profile of a grievance collector, someone who holds onto every perceived slight and builds a story where violence becomes justified. His writing and posts showed he had been planning this for years. He refused to take responsibilities for his failures and instead blamed others, co-workers, competitors, and former friends. That mindset can turn resentment into radicalisation. If someone, anyone, had stepped in to help him process his anger and failure, things might have turned out very differently. But McLeod also showed clear signs of emotional instability, a violent temper, obsession with control, and deep insecurity about rejection. These, combined with his history of domestic violence, suggest possible narcissistic or antisocial traits. The 5 lives lost in McLeod's rampage weren't just names in the headline. They were artists, parents, friends, people who mattered. Let's take a moment to honor their legacies. Alicia Cardenas. Alicia, aged only 44, was a pillar of Denver's tattoo community, a proud Chicana and indigenous artist, owner of Soul Tribe Tattoo, and a passionate educator of Mesoamerican history. She organized cultural events like the Denver Indigenous Film Festival and brought people together through her art and activism. Her father, Alfredo, called her gregarious, friendly, and determined, and a friend said, "Her loss is a piece of Denver that's being erased." Her legacy lives on, however, in the 2022 documentary These Storied Walls and an exhibit at the History Colorado Center. Alyssa Gunn Maldonado. Alyssa, aged 35, was a talented tattoo artist known for her warmth and creativity. She worked alongside her husband Jimmy, who had survived the attack. Friends described her as a beautiful soul who left a lasting mark on everyone she met. Her death devastated Denver's tattoo community, which rallied behind Jimmy with an outpouring of support and love. Michael Swinyard. Michael was a 67-year-old building contractor, an active member of Denver's social scene, attending events like the Fête de Fleur benefits. Though a private man, he was well liked and respected. His name appeared in McLeod's novel, a chilling sign that his murder was premeditated. Danny Schofield. Danny was a devoted father of 3 and a respected tattoo artist at Lucky 13. His co-workers described him as a loving father, son and brother. Clients remembered him for his kindness and artistry, and his work brought people together, and his loss left a deep void in the Lakewood community.
He had so much left to give to the world.
One person can leave a mark on many lives, but a friend,
one last monster with Danny,
left something more personal.
It just became our thing. A monster for him, a monster for us.
Annie holds on to memories.
Danny was a good human.
Of the man who left a permanent mark.
Danny's our family. It's just not fair. Like, I want him to know he's loved and his life mattered.
Sarah Steck. Sarah worked the front desk at the Hyatt House Hotel. She loved art, kittens, and Blink 182. She wasn't one of McLeod's known associates, just someone in the wrong place at the wrong time. Friends remembered the 28-year-old for her infectious laugh, her kindness, and the creative spark she brought to everything she did. Her life was full of promise and was stolen far too soon. Lyndon Mcleod's rampage was a result of unchecked rage, radical ideology, and deep personal grievance. 5 lives were stolen, a city was shaken, and a community was forever changed. We remember Alicia Cardenas, Alyssa Gunn Maldonado, Michael Swinyard, Danny Schofield, and Sarah Steck, not for how they died, but for who they were and the lives they touched. But their loss leaves a haunting question. How many more warning signs will go ignored? And what will it take to stop the next lone wolf before it's too late? Thank you for watching. Share your thoughts below. We'd really like to hear from you.